We can't change it. It happened. Unfortunately, it took the life of my son. I'm on a mission to make sure that no other family has to go through what I'm going through. We'll never accept what happened to Christopher because it was so preventable. If you're going to choose to do things that are wrong and you kill someone, there is going to be consequences.
Are you saying people are ignoring protocols?
100% to get stuff done.
What's the legislation like right now? What's the first few steps look like?
The minute someone says she'll be right, they should really stop and think, why did I say that?
Can we go deeper into that?
Stop risking life or injury to get any job done, because no job is worth a life or an injury, ever.
Before we begin, can I have a minute of your time? In Australia, every few minutes, someone gets injured at work, on a work site, in a warehouse, on the road, and in an office chair that they've sat in for over 10 years. And most of these injuries, they were preventable. Our podcast exists for one reason: to have an open conversation about work, safety, and our compensation system. We talk to experts in our field to discuss the good, the broken, and what to improve within the system. Because safety isn't paperwork, it's people, it's the family, it's our future. So if you learn something new from this episode, make sure you subscribe to the AusRehab podcast. And if you or someone you know has a powerful story about injury, recovery, workplace safety, or any related topics, reach out to us. We're always open to guests who move this conversation forward in Australia. Now, let's get into today's episode. Today's episode is a powerful one. Our guest is Patrizia Cassaniti, a name that has become synonymous with courage, accountability, and reform in Australian workplace safety. Patrizia is a tireless workplace safety advocate whose life has changed forever after the preventable workplace death of her son, Christopher, in 2019. Instead of stepping back, Patrizia stepped forward into courtrooms, parliamentary offices, media studios, and public forums, determined to ensure no other family suffers the same loss. Through relentless advocacy, public education, and direct lobbying of the government, Patrizia has played a pivotal role in pushing for stronger workplace safety laws, including the introduction and strengthening of industrial manslaughter legislations. Her work has helped and shift national conversations from compliance to accountability, from statistics to human lives. Patrizia brings a perspective that cuts through policy languages, legal jargon. She speaks with authority of lived experience, the clarity of purpose of a reformer, and the compassion of a mother determined to create lasting change. Today, we're honored to have her in our studio to join us to discuss why workplace safety must be non-negotiable, how legislation have changed, and what employers, regulators, and all of us can do differently starting now. Patrizia, welcome to the AusRehab podcast.
Thank you for having me here, Steve, and thank you for that introduction. It's quite a very nice introduction to what I do, and I am, yes, very passionate about what I do. So thank you for having me here as part of your podcast.
No, thank you. So let's get straight into it. Look, there's a lot of podcasts asking you, what the story is like. Within like 2 or 3 minutes, can you, share a background of exactly what happened?
Sure. I mean, it happened nearly 7 years ago in 2019. Our life was very happy, great family dynamics, very close. And we were coming up to Christopher's 18th birthday party, so we're trying to organise that to get it all started. Christopher turned 18 on the 27th of March 2019. It was a Wednesday morning, and it was such a big thing for him because he'd been looking forward to returning 18 because he had an older brother, so couldn't wait to finally become an adult. Being during the week, not much actually happened on that day except for one big milestone, I suppose, for him was obviously to turn 18, and he also took out his very first loan to buy his car, which was a Toyota Hilux.
Yeah, and I remember you saying fully sick car.
Yeah, he wanted it to be fully sick. He was so proud of himself. to finally be able to. And previously to that, he had bought himself a boat as well. So Christopher was on that very nice trajectory of being a very successful person. A great head screwed on his shoulder, if you want me to say that, because, not every 18-year-old is the way Christopher was. A lot of them tend to sort of like get ready to hit the pub because they're finally adults and, look forward to going out, where the Christopher was more like making sure that his future was set, loved life, absolutely loved life, loved the outdoors. He bought a boat because we introduced water skiing to them, to our kids, to try and get them out of their rooms because of PlayStation and all that kind of stuff. I just thought, no, you've got to get out. So on that very day of his 18th birthday, he bought his Hilux and he picked it up on the Friday. He was so happy and pretty much only got to drive that car about 3 times. Saturday, he drove himself to work, and that afternoon we celebrated his 18th birthday with all family members. And when he got up that Sunday morning, we kind of sort of like had this discussion, and I remember him being outside the night before with all his mates, going through the car, up and down the street. Most of the night was spent in the car. And so he came up to me and says, "Oh, Mum, there's, I'm so happy with everything. I've got a car to tow my boat now, but there's one more thing I'd really like to do, and that is to make my car fully sick." And I was kind of taken back, and I said to him, "You've just spent all your money." I said, "Take it easy." And I said, "There's so much to be done still." And he goes, "Yeah, I know. But he actually sat me down and showed me the things that he wanted to do to the car. And he even Googled his number plate. And he says, "This is the number plate that I want." He's a West Tigers fan. Mm-hmm. So he chose a West Tigers number plate with Cass 01. And he was so excited that it was still available. So we put it aside. And then we went to the market and we got some stuff for the car to personalise it for himself, got himself some new car seat covers and mats, steering wheel cover, all these kind of things, washing materials to wash the car. And then I looked at him, I said, "Listen, I'm not coming to work tomorrow." At the time I was a coffee lady. I had my coffee van, so I used to go to site and he used to jump in the van with me and we used to go to work together every single day. So I decided to take the day off on the Monday. So he drove himself to work on the 1st of April, that Monday. And at 12:20 p.m, a 9-storey scaffold collapsed and crushes him to death. So that, for us, changed our lives to the point where I still today, 7 years on, can't comprehend. Will never accept it. Will never accept what happened to Christopher because it was so preventable. The process leading up, to last year, pretty much when we've finally finalised everything through the courts, has been absolutely horrendous. I've not even had the chance to grieve my son because I've not stopped since the moment he died. The anger that I carry and the anxiety, I'm not vengeful. I'm not there for vengeance. I'm here because I believe what happened to Christopher should never have happened in the first place. It is totally avoidable. It's all based on complacency, cutting corners, getting things done quickly when they don't really need to be done that way.
Can you go slightly deeper into that? Like, what do you mean by complacency and cutting corners? Do we know exactly?
Yes. So unfortunately, what caused the scaffold to collapse was the removal of every single tie on a 9-storey scaffold. So there's quite a lot of them. And
do we know why they did that?
Because there was a lot of work. Bricklayers had to do some work on the external of the building. Mm-hmm. It was in a phase of actually the scaffold have just been put up, and also the removal, the ties were in the way of obviously getting those balconies finished. And so instead of removing them and replacing them, in a different way so that they could still be holding onto the scaffold. They were totally removed, every single one of them. Not only that, we found in the judgment that there was no vertical bracing and no transoms either on the scaffold. And it was also overloaded by 18.5 tonnes. So previously, I think it was about the Friday or the Saturday, the bricklayers actually received an email from the builder to say, can you load the bricks onto the scaffold? And thank God that they actually put on an email, no, we're not going to be doing that because it's too dangerous. But Janellen decided to do it anyway and loaded the scaffold with pallets of bricks on every single level of that scaffold, making it overloaded by 18.5 tonnes.
Do we know why they loaded these bricks?
Because they removed the Alamac that was next to it 2 weeks prior. The Alamac is what actually brings the bricks up to each level to the labourers so that they can bring them to the bricklayers so they can work. And because the Alamac wasn't there, the crane was used to crane the bricks onto the scaffold.
Okay, so
a big no-no. It's a very big no-no.
Yeah.
Totally reckless behaviour and negligent, which caused the scaffold to collapse. Even it was very much foreseen. I was told even in the judgment that they stood in front of it and actually tried to stop the job, the scaffolders themselves, and to say you can't load those bricks on there, it's too heavy, but it was totally ignored because it just had to be done.
Who?
By the leading hand of the scaffolding company, because they'd organised for the bricks to be put onto the balcony ledge so that they're not on the scaffold, but they were going to do that soon, but that soon didn't come soon enough. And unfortunately the scaffold came down. And, you know, there's a lot of information I feel still hasn't come out of exactly why. That's the nutshell of what happened. So pretty much a 9-storey scaffold with no ties whatsoever on an extremely windy day. No transoms, no vertical bracing. Everything you can possibly think that could go wrong on a scaffold went wrong on that day, including the overloading of it by 18.95 tonnes to be exact.
Crazy.
And the only reason why we know the weight is because everything was weighed separately.
Yeah, and well, documented in an email, apparently.
Yeah. It was just totally reckless and negligent behaviour. We can't change it. It happened. Unfortunately, it took the life of my son. And this is why I work so hard and tirelessly to get in front of as many workers as I can to bring the reality of what tragedy looks like, because we make choices every single day that are detrimental to lives, to our own lives, to our co-workers. But I try to remind workers the reason why they go to work in the first place, and that's to make their lives and the lives of their family better. That is it. That is the only reason why we go to work. Everyone has to go to work. We don't choose to go to work. And making those kind of choices and decisions that are based on complacent behaviours will eventually bite you. And it's about bringing that reality of what tragedy looks like to the forefront of every single worker, so it gives them the courage to speak up, to say no to unsafe work practices. If something isn't right, it just isn't. They got to stop convincing themselves that it is, because it's only going to lead to tragedy.
If there's a paragraph or a sentence that you want to say to every single foreman, because it sounds like that person would have been very responsible for this incident, right? What would that be?
Well, there was a few people responsible for Christopher's death, but it's about understanding the choices you make on a daily basis. You know what's right. Every single worker knows their job. They know what feels good, what doesn't feel good. When it doesn't, we need to take note and step back. The minute someone says she'll be right, they should really stop and think, why did I say that? Why did it come through my mind? They're our natural instincts that we need to listen to. And unfortunately, we are just so busy. We're too busy to even think about our natural instincts these days, and we just go through. Unfortunately, when we do make these kind of choices and decisions that are based on complacent behaviours, something will happen and you can't go back. And the only problem that happens is that the worker is the one that suffers if they survive. If they don't survive and they die, it's the family who suffers. And that is it. They're the only people who suffer in the end. You know, yes, there is some companies that go through the wrath of, you know, the responsibilities and the court cases and, you know, coming in front of a judge to explain what happened. But in the end, they still continue. When a family member is affected or a worker is affected and survives, they have to deal with their injuries for the rest of their lives.
Correct.
And it's up to them to understand, do I want to do this? I come to work because I need to make my life better and the life of my family better. I'm here to earn money to do that. Stop risking life or injury to get any job done, because no job is worth a life or an injury, ever.
In your estimation, right, what could have been done to prevent things like events like this to happen again? Like, so I'll give an example. So in surgeries and in the medical field, right, we always go through a checklist of, like, you know, if you're going to surgery, you got to, you know, wash your hands.
There's protocols.
Protocols.
We have them in construction as well. We have protocols in place. Unfortunately, it's a culture. So it's a safety culture.
So are you saying people are ignoring protocols?
100% to get stuff done. So sometimes they will ignore a protocol or a safety measure because of time and money. Safety is very expensive.
How do you mean?
Because safety, you know, is very important, and some companies do it very well. They have a great safety culture where, you know, a lot of workers adhere to it. But then when you're working in an environment like where Christopher was working, it was very volatile. A lot of workers did not have the courage to speak up because they'd probably lose their jobs if they did. The biggest thing is, it doesn't matter where you work. The decision is yours. The choice is yours. You need to understand, if I make this decision, what could possibly happen afterwards? Am I putting myself in danger for a company and then ruining my life and the life of my family? For what? What's the point? Protocols are there. Mm-hmm. Everybody has them. But some have very bad safety culture where when someone does speak up, it's frowned upon. So no one does. No one actually says anything. And to be in that kind of environment is an individual's choice. You know, if I know that I'm going to risk my life for somebody else to get a job done and really think about it, unless you've been through what we've been through, it doesn't cross our minds. We just do it because we have to. And we feel we have to, but we don't. We don't have to risk our lives to get a job done, because a job will get done with or without you. If something happens to the worker, they just get replaced. Mm-hmm. Simple, because a job will get done. But a family member can never replace a family member after they've been injured or if they die, because an injury is just as bad. The mental health that comes after a horrific injury is horrendous.
Can we go deeper into that? Like, what does it look like? What does the other side look like? As in, like, the grieving process.
When you've lost someone, to lose a child is one of the worst things in life. I don't think there's anything that you can compare it to. But to lose a child in circumstances that were so avoidable makes the whole situation even worse. So my grieving process is full of anger. I pretty much stop grieving because I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to make sure that no other family has to go through what I'm going through in honor of Christopher.
Yep.
Because Christopher was special. And I don't say that because he's my son. When I had Christopher, it was a very traumatic birth. He was supposed to be stillborn, but came out and he was perfectly fine. He was born on 27th of March. I brought him home from hospital on the 1st of April around lunchtime. Christopher died on the 1st of April, 18 years later, in the most traumatic way. So he came into this world in a traumatic way and came out as well. Okay. I do spiritually believe he came here for a reason. The impact he's left behind is huge. My grief kind of has not even started because I started speaking and getting onto sites and speaking to workers from a month after Christopher died, and I have not stopped. And it's times when I'm quiet or I'm not doing anything that I feel that grief coming on, and I can tell you now it's very dark. It's very dark.
How dark?
It changes you as a person. It really changes you as a mum, because not everyone loses a child at work. It's usually a partner. But as a mum, it's made me extremely hard to be a mum to my living children because they are going through their own trauma of losing a brother, And
is it fair to say that you're worried that it might happen again?
100%. The anxiety that I carry suffocates my children. It suffocates. My children aren't children anymore; they're adults. My eldest left a few days ago to go to the US. He's got a contract with Virgin Voyages, and he'll be gone for 6 months. And the worry, I'm extremely happy for him because this is what he's wanted for his whole life. But not having him near me, it has affected me in some way because I just think he's so far away in such a, volatile country at the moment, where things are so uncertain. And I know with my children, I've got them on Life 360 so that I don't suffocate them too much. So I know where they are and what they do. But it does mentally suffocate them because I'm constantly watching over them, even though even my youngest is 22. My oldest is 26. They're adults. They've got their own lives, but they're always our babies. They're always our babies, no matter what. And it's really hard to be a mum when you've lost a child. And you try to sort of stop them from doing things and, the worst of the worst goes through your mind when our kids do something. And it's horrible, absolutely horrible.
Look, can you give the audience an example of, one of these events where anxiety kicked in and then?
Yeah, I can remember one off the cuff is my youngest turning 18. The day he turned 18, it was a Tuesday and he was still at school. And I remember him coming home from work and I said to him, get changed. I said, we're going out. We're going to the pub. We're going to the casino. We're going to everywhere because Christopher never got a chance. Christopher didn't even get a chance to have his first beer at the pub with his mates. And I was so fearful when Michael turned 18 that I just thought, no, we're doing everything in one night, everything you can possibly do as an 18-year-old. We took him out everywhere, you know what I mean? And it's getting him to experience it because Christopher never did, The most recent was taking a picture of my eldest son saying goodbye to his younger son, my younger son.
Oh, so
When
your grandkids?
No, my younger son.
Oh, as in like
So
the brothers?
the two brothers.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so my eldest went to, got up in the morning, and Michael had to go to work that morning. So he was dressed, he's a tradie as well. So he was dressed in his orange shirt. And the thing is, I took a similar picture of Adriano because at the time when Christopher died, he was doing West Side Story in a musical, and he wasn't going to be present for his birthday. So before Adriano left to go to do his musical, I took a picture, and it was pretty much him in his, orange shirt and Adriano. And I took that picture the other day, and my heart just sank. I just went, oh my goodness. Because the worst of the worst goes through your mind, even though I try to be very optimistic in life. These thoughts still come into your mind. You can't, that's what your mind does,
Is that the hardest part of the grieving process?
The hardest part is every occasion.
Every occasion.
Every single occasion that comes along. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter. Now we've got weddings coming on, where my nieces and nephews are getting married. And all these should be full of joy. They are full of joy, but they also are masked by this sadness, a sadness that will never go away. It will never change. We can't change that. And that's why I'm so optimistic to try and change the way things are done. And hopefully no other family goes through the same pain, because it is horrendous. Okay. It really is.
Then that's a very good leeway into the next topic, which is change. Legislation will change.
Yeah.
You've been pushing very hard for Krista's Floor to get through the parliament, and successfully done it.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
That was extremely hard, because things in parliament take time. Nothing gets done straight away, although some things that I've seen have gone through straight away when they choose a law. Christopher's law is not official. It's not an official thing, because I've been pushing for Christopher's law to be to make every scaffold have anti-tampering devices on them, and to make it mandatory. That's what Christopher's law is all about, and that has not passed as yet. I'm still trying to push for it to have it national, so that every scaffold has anti-tampering devices as a mandatory, not just as a choice that do it, because in construction we have hierarchy of controls, and the first one is to eliminate the danger. Putting anti-tampering devices on every single scaffold eliminates the danger of workers removing components that they shouldn't. So that process of Christopher's law is still trying to go through Parliament. I'm still trying to push that.
Why is that? Sorry, I don't know enough about it, but why is it so hard to push something that sounds so logical through legislation?
It's the same question I have. The same question I bring forth to government to say why. Why is it, I see things on the news like, you've got someone that's been stabbed and then all of a sudden a few days later there was, I think, Jack's Law, where knives, police had the right to search people without consent, and just go there and search them. For knives, and that's very big in Queensland. There's other laws that are always put in place when something happens, like, some for suicide, there's some for different things. I believe Christopher's law is important. By making the anti-tampering devices for every scaffold, I don't know why it's taking so long, because it's just logic. It's a logical thing, and I always say, my God, why am I working so hard to get something so simple through when it is actually the top of our hierarchy of controls.
Oh, hold on. Is there a existing anti-tampering device?
There is.
What's the difference between the one that you're pushing for and the current one?
There's no difference. It doesn't matter what anti-tampering devices is. At the time when I was pushing it, there was only one person that was doing it.
Oh,
And
okay.
and they said it can't be done because it's a monopoly. So, but now there's several anti-tampering devices available. So there's no excuse why it shouldn't be done now. Again, it comes down to cost because it's such a huge cost. Well, it's not really a huge cost, but it's a cost that's added on for the builder to have anti-tampering devices put on their scaffolds. But I can tell you now it costs less to have these anti-tampering devices than after when a disaster the aftermath is actually going to cost you even more. So I always urge builders and, construction, anyone that's in construction that uses scaffold to put that extra measure, put those anti-tampering devices. It's one less thing you have to worry about of workers actually removing components to get their job done.
Are there anything else that you're, advocating for?
Well, industrial manslaughter came through and I worked very close with Adam Searle to get that bill through. So it's his bill and it finally did make it through Parliament. It went through to the lower house at one stage and then it was pretty much forgotten about until Prime Minister Chris Minns came in and the Premier Chris Minns came into power and then he got it passed. So industrial manslaughter is now still in its first few things. So we won't know whether it's going to be acted upon because it takes 2 years for safe work to actually go through the prosecution phase and then that's when we'll know. So because it passed in last year,
was it
2024.
24?
24.
Okay.
So it'll be this year, probably not until October this year, where we will see whether the judges and the prosecution phase actually use industrial manslaughter to its full wrath and put people in jail for making the wrong choices.
Do we know whether there are any cases currently?
There is in the other states, yes.
The other states?
The other states do have industrial manslaughter enacted and people have gone to jail for unsafe work practices.
Do we know any facts about those cases?
No, I don't have the full facts of them, but they are out there. They're definitely out there.
And I guess, this is one of the questions I thought about last night when I knew, we were doing this today. Do you think it's fair for people to go to jail in a workplace accident? What's your opinion on it?
Okay. I'll tell you why I pushed for industrial manslaughter. So when I was taken into the courtroom for the judgment, I was put into a room with a prosecutor.
Sorry, what judgment is this?
The judgment for Christopher.
Okay.
So when the prosecution was handed down for Christopher's case to Janellen, I was put in a room with the prosecutor to be told that no one is culpable for Christopher's death because there was no law in place to do so. That for me did not go down very well because if you kill someone in a car, if you kill someone outside, you go to jail.
Absolutely.
There's no questions.
Yes.
Even if you're in the car and you've killed someone and it wasn't your fault.
Even if you're negligent. Not negligent, accident.
Accident. You go to jail. It's manslaughter or you get manslaughter charges.
Yep.
I don't understand if you kill someone at work and at the time when Christopher died, you kill someone at work and you're responsible because you've made a choice that you foresee something could possibly go wrong, but you still do it. You're actually being negligent. And I do believe that Christopher's case should have gone to the Criminals Act and it didn't. It was stopped there. And that's why I fought so hard for industrial manslaughter to be introduced.
Why did it stop for it to get to the Crimes Act?
Because it's an additional fight for safe work, and so safe work don't go that extra mile to sort of like risk losing the case. They prefer to win a case than lose a case. So it all depends what the situation is in the thing. I know Christopher's case was clear cut.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know today why it didn't go to Criminals Act and why it wasn't set as a precedent to say that, you know, if you're going to choose to do things that are wrong and you kill someone, there is going to be consequences. There's no consequences. There was no consequences whatsoever other than a fine.
Mm-hmm.
At the time when Christopher died, the highest fine was $3 million in a Category 1 offence. Unfortunately, it's never actually been given in the full $3 million, because there is also a law that if you plead guilty, you get an instant 25% discount. So whatever your fine is, if it's a jail time monetary fine, you get 25% off. Then if you put things in place to better yourself, you actually get a further discount.
So some sort of plan.
It's to entice people to say that they're guilty.
Okay.
So Janellen was the first one that was prosecuted.
Yep.
And their fine was a Category 2 offence, and it was because of the overloading.
Yep. And
the Category 2 offence is, I think at the time was a maximum of $1.5 million. They got a discount, and their fine was $900,000. So $900,000 for a big company is nothing. So there's no consequence in place. Synergy was charged with a Category 1 offence, and theirs was $2.2 million, and it was discounted down to $2 million, when it was a maximum of $3 million.
Okay.
So that is the only fines given. Those fines in big companies are nothing. Yes, reputation is one thing, but, you know, people re-Phoenix.
Yep.
And they continue on and they do whatever they need to do. There is no other consequences in place, and so without consequences, why would anyone care?
What would happen?
Nothing's going to change, right? So people are going to continue because they can afford it. They can afford to risk. You know, many times it's been, especially in earlier years, they used to write it into the contract that if something was to happen, that's, you know, they've got the money for that put aside.
Oh, wow.
But,
okay.
yeah, it's something that is done. It's expected.
It's planned, basically.
Yeah. So unless you have an actual jail time and a personal responsibility, then no one really is going to care about it because it's not going to affect you personally. So it's only the companies that are the ones that will suffer that consequence of losing money.
Yep.
But they can continue because they're not in jail.
So what's the legislation like right now?
Well, at the moment you've got industrial manslaughter, and it's 25 million for Category 1 and up to 20 years jail for people who are responsible. It's usually the officers, so any officers of any company and PCBUs.
Yep.
Who, if they are responsible for the death of someone at work, then they'll end up being prosecuted not only for monetary, so the company is a monetary one, an individual has up to 20 years jail.
Okay, I'm going to push back a little bit here. Say, you know, there is an unfortunate event where, you know, our son died. Is it fair to arguably destroy another family because of
well,
an accident?
I'll ask you the question. If you lost a family member by somebody running them over,
I'll be exactly like you.
If your family member got run over,
and
they didn't get manslaughter charges,
I'll be very angry, and then I'll be doing exactly 100%. What you're doing. That's me.
It's
Okay, but
until you actually go through a workplace death,
uh-huh.
no one really knows that there is no law in place until you go through the actual prosecution phase. You know, we went through 2 years of really not knowing what happened, and then up to 3.5 years where I had to sit in a courtroom to find out what happened to my son.
3.5 years.
Yes. So it's torture. It's absolute torture. My son went to work because he has to go to work to earn some money.
Mm-hmm.
He was so happy, and because of somebody else's choice and decision, he lost his life. It wasn't his choice. It wasn't his decision to remove the ties. It wasn't his choice to load 18.9 tons of materials on the scaffold. He was doing his job. The people, even in the judgment, were responsible. There's 3 people responsible for the choice of actually doing that caused the scaffold to collapse, yet they scot free. Now, yes, the conscience isn't, is not going to leave you alone. I'm sure they're tormented by the choice that they made. But if there's no punishment that comes with these choices, then people will just continue to do it. They'll just continue. It's just like you being in a car. It's your choice. If you get in a car and you drink and you take drugs and you risk on killing someone, it's your choice. But that risk comes with a consequence if you kill someone. Okay? It's the same thing with the workplace. We make choices every single day. And some of these choices are the most stupid of choices. And they cause horrific injuries or death that are totally unnecessary. All because we decide that, yep, she'll be right. Yep. I've done this 1,000 times before and it's never going to happen to me. Those 3 phrases should stop people in their tracks and think about their own lives and think about, why? Why did I say that? And why should I risk my life to get this job done? Now, people were standing in front of that scaffold before it collapsed and actually tried to stop the job. But it was ignored. Now, it's a choice. That person who said, don't worry about it, she'll be right, has to live with that choice. Yeah. But there's no consequence. So it doesn't stop somebody else from doing it again. And this is why I push so hard for industrial manslaughter to be introduced to prevent these deaths and to stop people.
It's to hold people accountable
100%.
and introduce accountability
100%.
into the process, into the protocols.
Well, if you look at transport, the laws came in that you had to wear a seatbelt. There's laws about, phone use. Mm-hmm. These are consequences that are put to you if you don't follow the rules. Now, people don't do it. People will follow those rules. They will put their seatbelt on because they know there's a consequence if they don't. They will stop using the phone in the car because they know that there's a consequence that comes with it. And this is how they stop people from dying on the roads. Now, if there's no consequence in a workplace on you making those kind of complacent choices, then who's going to stop it? When we still have not seen the wrath of what industrial manslaughter will do as yet, because we won't see that until at least October next year or this year, okay, because it's still in that statute of limitations. Yep. Now, until these individuals start going to jail for choices they made that caused someone to die, then people will start thinking, hang on a second, is it worth my life? Is it worth my injury to get this job done?
Then I guess the follow-up question to that is 25 years enough? Is that harsh enough or is that too harsh?
It's up to. So it depends, depending on the severity of the choice.
Oh no, as in like right now it says up to 25 years.
Yeah.
should we go up to 35 years instead of 25 years? Like, what's your opinion on that part?
I don't know, because it hasn't been enacted as yet. So I don't know what the effects are for it. We hope that these new laws are there to stop people from doing the wrong thing, to actually start thinking about choices that they make on a daily basis. You know, when something happens, I always look at it, and when investigation is done, it's always due to human error.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an accident. It's never an accident. It's always an incident waiting to happen because of complacent decisions that are made that lead up to it. And that's just a fact. Now, if those decisions and choices that we make have got that consequence behind it, you will think twice about doing it. But without it, no one cares.
Nothing will happen.
And that is why industrial manslaughter was so important for me to be introduced, to make sure that it stops people. It just stops and makes people think about the choices they make.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I guess on a broader note, in terms of safety culture and your advocacies, you know, what are you doing now? Like, you know, what's the plan?
I'm a keynote speaker,
Yep.
so international. I go to workplaces, conferences, I do seminars, webinars, and pretty much share Christopher's story.
Yep.
It's called The Reality of What Tragedy Looks Like. Now, I know it's quite hard-hitting because I do show a video. I show a video of the incident, of the aftermath. I've also had a reenactment done of the day from the moment my son gets up to the moment that he dies. And in the reenactment are those choices and decisions that were made on that day that caused the scaffold to collapse. And it was done by a firma, which is absolutely amazing. Pretty much it's an animation of the whole day, and it depicts visually, obviously very visual on those choices.
No, visuals work because that's way more impactful than words
100%.
and everything else.
Yeah, and that is why I do videos in my presentation. That reenactment then is followed by the aftermath, which is a real video of actually the real situation after it happened. It's quite intense. It makes people think because it's choices that they make on a daily basis. So it actually stops them in their track to say, oh my God, I've made a choice like that before. And hopefully by them feeling that pain of watching what's happening on the screen makes them
think twice
the next time they have a she'll be right moment. So it is quite intense. And obviously I do speak about Christopher's life. And so a lot of work sites do get me on site. I speak for about an hour and 10 minutes. And I found that a lot of companies have got me back to speak to workers again if they've had a change of staff or anything like that, or just to refresh. So because it has had an effect on their workers, that they've seen changes within their workplace after I've spoken.
Well, that's powerful.
That's why I kept going it.
Okay. Apart from being a keynote speaker, like what else do you do? Like,
I run the Touch by Christopher Foundation. I help any other families who endure this horrific tragedies of losing a loved one at work. And we provide them with 3 months worth of groceries, pay any outstanding bills that they may have, and also about $5,000 towards any mortgage or rent that they may have, because 97% of the time that someone dies, it's actually the breadwinner. And when they die, the
97%.
Yeah.
That's a crazy number.
It's usually the breadwinner who dies.
Wow. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and it's families are left behind, and I know the feeling of Rob and I were subcontractors. We were contractors, and we worked for ourselves. Rob never went back to work. His traumas, PTSD is quite intense, and I went back to obviously doing keynote, and this has become my job. and it's difficult. You know, I speak to a lot of families, and it's usually a wife and kids.
Yep.
Now in a situation where they've lost their partner and they don't know what to do. They're just lost, absolutely lost, because they're not the breadwinner's gone and they've got a mortgage, they've got children they've got to put through school, and unfortunately it's not enough. The death benefit that comes from the workers' compensation is not enough, and it's not going to pay a mortgage, you know. And when you have a lot of things like education, like the death benefit has to be split up equally. If children are involved, then a percentage goes to the children. So the full, I think at the moment it's at about 920,000. That amount does not go to the parent to be able to pay mortgages, bills, get the kids through school. It's divided, and it goes into trust funds for the children until they turn 18, and they're not allowed to touch it. So the mum or the father only gets a percentage of that, and it's never enough to get them through life. And it's usually held for about at least 9 months, and this is why Touched by Christopher's there to help with finances.
The first few months. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And say I want to donate to Touched by Christopher.
Yep.
How can someone do that?
It's on our website. It's touchedbychristopher.org.au, and you can become Christopher's mate, where individuals can pledge to donate maybe $50, I think, or $29 a month, and that helps us obviously help families, and companies can become corporate sponsors, and they can come on different tiers in sponsoring us and helping us, you know, put funds into the account. This year I'm hoping to do the biggest barbecue.
Yep.
And it's going to be done every April because it's Christopher's anniversary, and on the 28th of April is also International Day of Mourning for workers. So I thought it was very fitting to do it in April, and companies can register online. It hasn't been set up as yet, but it will be very soon. And it'll be Australia's biggest barbecue. So similar to what the Cancer Council does with the biggest morning tea, we'll be having the biggest barbecue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, hopefully we get a lot of people attending and a lot of people donating.
Yeah, well, it's just basically registering on our website, and you just hold the barbecue within your own workplace, and then all the money that's raised on that day just gets transferred into our account.
Okay. How many families or individuals have you helped in the charity?
Oh, I think last year, I think about 34 families.
34 families.
We've probably given out about close to $300,000 in funds, nearly 400,000. So yeah, it's been probably about 34. Got to try and remember how much the last thing, but between $300,000 and $400,000 we've given out to families.
Yeah, no, that's
so we need all the help we can get.
No, that's good. Because unfortunately, that does happen. As much as we talk about safety and wanting to have no accidents at workplace, unfortunately, it's a part of life that it does happen.
I know.
And having a safety net per se, I think helps people
100%. For me, what I can say is to every single worker is don't risk your life to get a job done. No job is worth risking for. It really isn't. It's an individual's choice, individual's decision to understand when they go to work and something doesn't feel right, to just say no and speak up.
Okay. Yeah. I guess, one question that I'm curious about as well is in terms of the charity and helping these families after they suffer the loss of a loved one, what's the first few steps look like?
It's a big cloud. It's a very big cloud when someone dies, it's a big shock. It's a different type of shock when a family member dies, because you're not prepared. It's not like someone's sick and you prepare for them to die. Every worker that has died got up that morning, went to work and never came home, and leaves behind a family thinking why and how, especially when you know that it's avoidable, and every workplace incident is avoidable. It's harder to accept that they never are going to come home after, going to work and doing something that they maybe shouldn't have, or made a choice that they shouldn't have, or were in the wrong place at the wrong time, as to what Christopher was. You know what I mean? It wasn't his choice. He was just at the wrong place, the wrong time. And it's just very hard to accept. The first few months you're inundated with calls, paperwork, and that's the last thing you want to do. And as a mum, the last thing I wanted to do was sign my son's death certificate. And, because I thought, why? He just turned 18. His life was so amazing and would have been amazing. And his life was taken because of a complacent decision that was made on that day.
With that, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for, talking to our audience.
No problem.
It's been a crazy podcast because I've actually learned a lot.
Yeah.
And good luck with everything.
No worries.
With the charity, with your keynote speaking. And
or if anyone ever needs any help or shift complacency within their workplace, they can reach out.
How do they find you?
Let's talk about safety.com.au.
Thank you for joining us for the AusRehab podcast. I hope you've learned a lot. If you have, give us a like, a comment, and share this podcast to your friends and family, especially, in high-risk jobs. I hope you've learned something. I hope, you've seen the other side of what can happen in a workplace accident, and be careful. Take care, everyone.